one day, this burly man approached me. I knew him. I had known him a while. I was on the corner of Ogle Street and Friendship Milwaukee when I saw him. Our eyes locked. He said, "Don't I know you from somewhere? Aren't you the girl who was going to Bladen Hall Multilateral School?" "Yes, sir." "What are you doing?" I pointed to the house I was going to. Teacher Norma lessons. I was going to shorthand and typing. I was 16. I just finished high school. He said, "Do you want to be a secretary?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "Don't you want to be a teacher?" I said, "Yes." What he didn't know was that a prophecy had been shared about my life. A long time ago, I had this idea that I'll become an architect because I'm named after Felicia Baird, one of Guyana's architects. And so I had that in mind, so I was drawing things and stuff like that, trying to be what I thought an architect would do and be. And so there was an old lady named Cousin Flassie. She came to my auntie's house, and I overheard this conversation, and she said, "That one's going to be a teacher." And I thought to myself, "Me? And my auntie said, she wants to be an architect." She said, "No, she's going to be a teacher." I stored it away. So come 16 years of age, I'm being offered, a chance to be a teacher, a pupil teacher. I'm telling this story from Madonna, who asked me, "Auntie, how did you become a teacher?" And so I'm going to tell the story about a man in my life. Sit down. What do stories say? I'm Pauline Baird. I tell stories of my village. I tell our family histories or whispered stories or long lost and sometimes forgotten traditions. And what the stories say? You come in, sit down. The encounter I just shared is one of the stories about the beginning of my career, finding my path. In Guyana, when you finish high school at 16, you got to find something to do. At least that was what happened in my time growing up. So sometimes the boys went to carpentry and tailoring, masonry. Girls went to sewing and shorthand and typing. That was very popular. It was just a thing you did. And some people went into teaching. I didn't know how you did it, so, I was given this offer. And like I said, this prophecy had been there on my life. So the man in my life was Mr. Williams. We popularly call him Eggy. Eggy Beatty. He was a burly man, strong and strapping, with a big bamsy. He was an education officer, and I was a child going to Bladen Hall Multilateral School in the agriculture stream. And so he would have had contact with me because I think he had something to do with agriculture. I can't be sure. But he knew me from there. We were planting rice, acres of rice, we planted crops, that kind of stuff. So Mr. Williams said, "Come to the Ministry of Education tomorrow and bring your resume." So I got ready and I went to the Ministry of Education. That would begin a series of going to the Ministry of Education. I could have stopped, but I was offered something and I pursued it. So I went that Wednesday with my paper in hand. I waited at the Ministry of Education. No Mr. Williams. Perhaps he didn't show up until like 10 o'clock. And when he showed up at 10 o'clock, everybody has his ears. Mr. Williams this, Mr. Williams that. And I'm sitting there on this bench next to his table. And when midday came, he said, "Oh, leave your resume here and come back next week Wednesday. So I left the resume. Next week Wednesday, bright and early, I was back there. When I got there, I sat in that same bench. He gave me some papers to sort. I sorted the papers and things that was on his desk, and he was busy talking to secretaries and running here and running there and all of that. I went home before lunch again. No job. He told me come back next week Wednesday. So on the third Wednesday, when I went, he took my resume, looked at it, made a few corrections, and told me to write it over. I'm 16. I wrote it over. I gave it to him. He said, come back next week Wednesday. So next week Wednesday, I went back. When I got back, he gave me a letter. He said, well, here is your letter. You are going to teach at Kwakwani. Now, all I know about Kwakwani is bush. It's in the Guyana interland, according to me, 16 years old. So I got the letter, but I was so excited. I was going to be a pupil teacher, and I'm going to go away. I'm going to go somewhere far, and I'm going to be this teacher, because inside of me, I'm a teacher. I was the girl who would come home from school and teach all the posts under the house. I would teach the tamarind tree. I would teach the sapodilla tree. I didn't talk much. This talking here is learned behavior. I talked for all the years I didn't talk. But whatever happened at school, whether they were beating kids or they were, asking for the alphabet and whatever, I would do them all at home. So my grandmother knew all that happened at school because I said it all. This teacher was there. So I got my letter and I took it home and showed my father. And I went to my auntie baby. I said, auntie baby, I get a job at Kwakwani. She said, Kwakwani? Who you know Kwakwani? I said, me you know. She said, you know Kwakwani there? I said, She said, how you got it? I said, me you know. She said, your Aunt Lulu, that's my grandmother's sister, Aunt Lulu lived in Linden. And she used to board people. She used to board my great uncle Danda, Uncle Canto. And she bored other people. So she said, well, maybe you can write her and ask her if she can take you in and so on. So I wrote Aunt Lulu a letter. Dear Aunt Lulu, how are you? I just got a job at Kwakwani. Can I come and live with you so I can work there? I wait a week, nothing. 2 weeks, nothing. By the third week, I got to go take up this position in Kwakwani. I said, what is this? Then I got a letter telling me from Aunt Lulu that says, wait right there, I come into Buxton. Megan girl, me no want you at Kwakwani because Linden, where you want to live, is fast. They call it max stretch. She said it's fast and me want this responsibility. Blow. I said, Lord, my chance gone. If she can't take me in, what I gonna do? First of all, I was a little upset because she said, it's fast. I'm a church girl. Church. Listen, you see Christian God, Bird Kinney, remember? That was me. Me live at church. So as far as I'm concerned, I gonna go to church and do the same things and do my little job. Aunt Lulu was not having it. So she came down the Sunday before I was supposed to take up the appointment at my grandmother's house. And I went and they talked all manner of things, but there was a no-go. She was not having me there. She didn't think it was safe or any of that. Now, looking back, I wouldn't do that to any child. But I thought I was grown. I thought I could do it. But I did not know the perils that would lay in the path of a girl that young, so naive. So naive. You come to a sense of yourself around 11, 7, 11, thereabout. 11 to 16 is nothing. Nothing. I couldn't even fathom what was out there and what could have happened. It could have been good, it could have been bad, who knows. So I didn't go. So what am I supposed to do? They came up with a bright idea that I must go to my Uncle Seaton. My Uncle Seaton, my mother's older brother. And he was a schoolmaster. So they tell me to go to him, but I didn't want to go because this man was very unapproachable. Short, concise, brief. What should I say? Rough. All those things. That's how I experienced him. He had this strong voice. That's how I knew him, as a stern man. So I took the letter, run to Bagdam side that Sunday evening, and I'm at the gate. Good afternoon, Uncle Seaton. No answer. Good afternoon, Uncle Seaton. Oi. He's at the back towards Mommy Fifi them. He had some pigs he was mining. So good afternoon, Uncle Seaton. He said, who's calling? I said, it's me, Pauline. What do you want? I said, Lord have mercy. How am I going to tell this man I want from gate? From his gate. You know, a shame. But I hear you say, I hear all people that say, you got to take shame face for shake Kokobe man hand. You got to take shame face and shake Kokobe man hand. That means that the situation was not good for me, in my estimation. Like Kokobe man is a man who got disease. But you got to take the shame face. You got to woman up, brave up, and go in to get what you want. So I say, Auntie, I must come bring this letter. He said, wait. He came from the backyard with handful feet. So what is it? And I hand him the letter. He read the letter. Then he looked at me. He said, what? You're a child. What is wrong with this man? Who gave you this letter? I said, Mr. Williams. I said, Mr. Williams gave you this letter? You're a child. You go back to Mr. Williams on Monday morning. You go there. So I said, okay. He started to mumble. This school, this village got all kind of school. You get your missionary school, you get Anglican school, you get Methodist school, you get Roman Catholic school. Why is he saying to Bush? Go back there tomorrow morning. So I take my humble self and go back to my granny. I tell him Uncle Sit and say, Monday morning, I show up at the Ministry of Education bright and early. And Mr. Williams showed up. First thing he said, but why you didn't tell me? Why you didn't tell me that your uncle was Seaton Griffith? No, Seaton Griffith at this time was the head of the Teaching Service Commission, right? He wasn't a schoolmaster at that time. So that's his excuse for sending this innocent girl to the bush. And the only thing that stood between me and not going to the bush is his knowledge that my uncle was Seaton Griffith, the man in my life. One man in my life. But you know what? I don't hold anything against Mr. Williams. That man in my life opened a door for me. And the scripture that's been given me, Madonna, is this. Behold, I set before you an open door no man can shut. So I offer you this story to let you know you're fine. And this is my story. And when you get your children, you will tell them your story. The story continues. What happened after that? Yahweh good.